start the meeting at 6:07 p.m. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes, which we can't do. Well, I guess the first order of business is the EDC chair, which we also can't do. So Robert Scherer resigned because he's moving to Florida. I'm the vice chair, so I guess de facto I'm sort of the chair for at least the time being. If our board is short people and no one else wants to do it, I will certainly do it in the time being if that's what folks want to do. But I guess we'll tackle it at the next meeting. So I don't know if there's anything else to talk about that. Minutes wise, we're not going to do that. And then the business district is the next thing up. So 2030 task force update. So I have a little update. There hasn't been a lot that's gone on over the last couple of months. I'm just going to pull up an email I got earlier just so I can read off some of it. We have pre-applied for come on. Give me 1 second. We pre-applied through Scrog for and I forget, I have it all for a LOTCIP grant. It's $11.5 million grant. When the LOTCIP, I have this here, I'll pass it to you guys so you can read it because I'm not going to read it off to everybody. But it's basically it's a transitional, it's a local transportation capital improvement program. Basically to improve the infrastructure for sidewalks, crosswalks, four-way stops, all that kind of stuff. And so Tony presented the pre-application to Scrog. Scrog approved that, and now us along with Scrog now put together the application, which gets sent into, I don't know exactly what to CTDOT, I think. The gentleman, Jason from SLR, he's the guy who did the traffic study for the 2030 Commission. The town's asked him to help fill out the application for this grant money. So if all goes well, we could have $11.5 million coming in a grant, so we can really firm up a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, sidewalks and I don't know, pedestrian walkways and all that kind of stuff, bike paths, whatever it may be. And the areas that they're focusing on, I believe, and I can't find Tony's email tonight, are
was it the area they showed at the reception at the?
Yeah, I was just going to tell you exactly.
So it was like
it's
Bradley
Amity,
Road
Litchfield,
to,
Bradley.
Yeah.
And then partially down to Lucy Street.
Okay.
So if I could find his email, I'll tell you exactly what it says. Give me 1 second. I'll just read it to you. It's probably up there than me. Going off of it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Alright, because I can't get on the Wi-Fi here, let me pick it up. It says we filed the pre-application. It's those roads and there's a couple others. I can't download my email for whatever reason. But it's a great start, and I think it'll help. I mean, if we put those sidewalks in, it's going to really help to boost that downtown area. Other than that, I don't think there's a lot to report on from 2030. We met in June, and we haven't met since.
Okay.
So.
They reached out to all of the different commissions and councils, right? And that was.
Yeah, I haven't heard much.
Here, that was the next step.
We got good feedback from when we presented to TPZ. You were there, weren't you at that meeting?
Not
you weren't at that
TPZ.
meeting? Okay. I mean, were you at that one? Okay. I know that they had good feedback from the meeting. But I don't think it's really gotten much further than that, and I haven't heard much else. So unfortunately, it's sort of been at a standstill for a little while. I know down in that area, the Toll Brothers project is really moving along. It's pretty impressive what they've been doing. What's the next item on the agenda?
The next item is the EDC business outreach strategy.
So what's
I think from the minutes from last meeting in June, there was discussion about what the 2030 task force was looking for EDC to help and like what that looked like. You know, so I think that was sort of something that you wanted to further discuss.
Right.
Let me see.
They needed us, our help to help advocate and get the word out and spread positive.
So are we looking for a message for 2030 to pass along to EDC, and then we're going to be reaching out to the business owners? Is it
No,
going
I
to be
mean,
like
I don't think we can do anything till they have more concrete plans, like when this, if they succeed in getting the funding, then we can,
Yeah,
we
I
can
mean,
help.
that's why I'm just trying to understand the process. Right, so we have a grant that we've gone for, right? And so we would use that to put sidewalks in, basically.
I mean, if you want me to read, this is the actual grant. You want me to read through it a little
Yeah,
bit?
no, but I mean, so it would be intended for the sidewalks and like the crosswalks that
It
we've
was
seen.
it was like,
Here.
road modifications, it was plantings, it was,
It says what types of projects are eligible. In general, LOTCIP projects must be located on a roadway classified as an urban collector or higher on the CTDOT's functional classification database. Standalone sidewalk projects may be considered eligible along other roadway classifications. Bridge improvements may be eligible on other roadway classifications as long as the federal definition of a bridge is met 20 feet or greater, existing span length is defined in 23 CFR, blah, blah, blah.
I don't
Multi-use
think-
trails, what's that?
I don't think you need to read it all.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna read- that's it. But there's a pre-app, you present it as SCROG, and then SCROG basically oversees this entire process.
Right.
Um,
So is there an approver of all of these plans that Perry has put together, and like how is that gonna work? Like,
so,
who's the decider? I
as
guess.
far as from our town or
Yeah.
the overseer from the state?
It was already approved then by the town then, right? The Board of
Ye-
Selectmen?
Yeah, I mean, this
They-
has been approved to go forward and look for this grant and seek
Well,
the
to
grant.
look for the grant, but in terms of the actual project, like what we're going to implement.
Like
Right.
what exactly the actual, what the project looks like,
Yeah,
which roads from where to where,
right,
who's calling those shots?
yeah.
It's a good question.
I mean, I listened to the board meeting and they basically approved for 2030 to go forward and share this with the committees and commissions to get input, right? But I don't think that and I don't think it's very clear as to who greenlights
It's a good question.
what we're doing, right? Or they're doing, I should say. The town's doing.
So once we have this bucket of money, I'm assuming it's gonna come from the Board of Selectmen as to which areas exactly we're gonna identify, and then I think those areas have to be presented to get this approved for those. I mean, the project's gotta be completely defined to get that money approved.
Right.
So no, I don't know who exactly, if there's a committee or if there's a separate committee that's gonna decide that, I have no idea.
Is that they also had talked about having like almost like a project manager, right? Wasn't that part of it as well? Like they said there would basically be headcount assigned to
Well,
implement.
Well, I don't know, I know we're asking SLR to help with this application process. I don't know if going forward, if the grant is approved, if we're gonna then go and talk to SLR about now helping us in implementing this. They're, that's what they do, so I'm wondering if maybe that's where we're gonna go with the grant money, to hire them and have them start putting together the program that we're gonna use to identify where we're gonna use this money.
Right.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I know that they're willing to come out to boards and commissions. Maybe we should extend an invite for them to come. It seems like you have questions. Does that make sense?
Them?
Well,
The 2030 task force, aren't they going to boards and commissions?
yeah, they were
Well, they
here.
were
Really here.
Oh, I must have missed that. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just came
But
on
it-
late. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
My
mean,
apology.
they just haven't. They have a lot of it is aspirational, right? And then the community has sort of made decisions on certain aspects of it, right? But
I don't know about decisions, but they've lent input.
But right. But I don't. I mean, if you listen to the board meeting, they were pretty clear, like, it wasn't an approval, right? They didn't say, okay, I mean, that was my takeaway from it.
No, and I don't know if there's anything to
Go
necessarily.
forth and build, right?
Right, no.
They stopped short of that.
I guess we got to get more. I'll get more information. We'll seek more information as to how the process works from this point forward. Once we have the money, if we get the money,
Right,
how's the process going to work to roll this whole thing out? So
right.
Okay.
Right. Because I think when we look at the EDC business outreach strategy, right, where we left off in June, when we read our minutes, was who's gonna fill this in? And they're pointing at the EDC to be the ones to like pick up the phone and start to drum up.
Well, I know through the town we've got a serious database of all the business owners and probably the property owners and a lot of the the businesses here. So I think we can reach out to them that way first,
Right.
and then maybe do a forum. We've had good luck doing forums in the past. It could be Zoom to make it easier, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or WebEx. Maybe that's an easier way to do it, just so people can do it from their houses if it's an evening meeting. But once we have the information to roll it out to the businesses, it may be a good idea. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but just to have one of those forums, another business and property owner forum, and sort of give them an update.
Yeah, I mean, I would think something like, here's what's coming in Woodbridge, right?
Yep.
It's like a teaser.
Yep.
But who is
They're
the
com-
audience, right? So you have the existing businesses.
Yep.
They're here, right? So then I would think
Property owners.
property owners or commercial developers or
Sure.
who's, going to be coming into Woodbridge. And that's where I kind of took, that's where we come in.
I mean, I think if I think if we did direct outreach to those that we have we have a lot in a database, so we can do an outreach that way. And then we can post it if we're gonna have a meeting, we can post it, and we can have in the meeting agenda, we could have links to the, what's online already from what 2030's done, what EDC has done, and if other folks wanna come and listen to the meeting, they're more than welcome to log in and listen
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But I think we have a lot of information to get first before we can even do that, but I think it's a nice way to roll it out, and if we give ourselves enough time to promote it,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we get a good audience for it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think even we do something like that, and then we also pick up the phone, right? Reach out to folks directly.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's next?
I guess there was, next on the agenda is the regional economic development groups, to see if they could, and this came up at the last meeting, if they could assist with maybe how the EDC could proceed. I think you brought that up, Scott, last time.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have, if we wanted Ginny from Rex or from Rex Development or someone to come back out to talk to us, does that come from you, from the selectmen, the invite, or do we just reach out to her?
Well, what would be to meet with the EDC? I mean,
Well, when we sat in the regional EDC meeting this week, they're kicking off a newer program, Rex Economic Development Services, where they're gonna provide more direct services to towns, including, if you don't have a full-time economic development officer to do mentoring and advice. If, some towns don't even have a commission like this, so giving them help to get started. Some towns need things peer reviewed and they don't know where to start, so it's meant to be an advisory service, which Jenny Kozlowski and Dale Krupp. So we just don't know if that request for assistance needs to come from the first selectman.
well, I think that we should explain what the need is that we have first to them, right? So, and then I think it goes back to the question is, what is EDC's role in helping with the 2030 task force, right? Like, what is that role? And then piggyback, how could they help and consult on how the EDC could proceed? I mean, that sounds like, I mean, I'm sure anyone could reach out to Ginny and maybe discuss where we're at. And then invite her to a meeting possibly, or invite her to the meeting and possibly, but I think we need to get our arms around a little bit more. What's the need?
I sent her an email yesterday just asking if she could send any information from what she was talking about, just, in an email over so that I could share it with the commission.
Yeah.
So I will, as soon as I get, I'll send it to you, and then
Yeah,
we
they
can
said
send
it'll
it
be
on.
ready in October, the marketing materials that they're preparing for
Yeah.
this new service.
So it seemed that I got a few emails. I sent you all the invites to those emails. So I don't know if this is something that was before I was helping out, if that was taking place prior to June, I don't know. But I thought it was interesting that everyone was invited, and I called specifically. I know the town is a member, but I said, could I invite anybody from the EDC commission? I made a phone call, and they said, yeah, certainly anybody could participate in those meetings.
Right.
So again, I don't know if that was something you've been participating in all along. I'm not sure.
I think I've participated in 1 or 2 meetings, but probably not with my town EDC hat on. It was probably through work. But yeah,
I
they're
try
always
to
open
make-
to business
I
people.
try to
and-
make a lot of them, but I go at, sort of there's a lot of hats, but
Yeah.
it's just very informative, those meetings. They really pack a lot into them about what's going on in New Haven County, basically. So I don't know, I guess when we get that information, we can review it, and then we can talk about, what from their information, what they're offering, what we could possibly, gain from their services.
Mm-hmm.
And then certainly we could invite Ginny in, I suspect. I'm sure she'd be willing to do that. Or you could, if you're emailing her, ask her that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could check with the First Selectman's office to see if there's any protocol that we need to take to invite her in, but I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
It seems like it's a service that they offer to their members who participate, and we're a member.
Okay. I wonder if 2030 would be interested in being part of that meeting, whenever that happens too, just to get everyone together. Okay. What's next? Gift card program? Any updates? Sean?
Sean.
Yeah, it's really
Okay.
Sean.
Might as well table that. Other business updates?
I had asked for clarification about this whole signage issue. Did they
Did I
ever?
skip that? Oh yeah, I skipped that, sorry. Business sign update.
No, like the farm that had the signs and.
Oh, is that what this is, is that
Yeah.
what that's referring to?
Chris.
And because there was a lot of negative feedback online that, the town doesn't support small business, so I thought it was important for us to understand what are the rules and what decisions were made, so we do know how to support small business.
Has that come to a head yet?
I think that, I'm not sure, truthfully, I think Sean sits on that
He does.
board, so I think that's why I had in here that he might be able to report on it. I know it was on an agenda that I saw a bit back, but I don't know what.
Sadly, I think it sits with lawyers now.
Well, and
Really?
that one was tricky also because it's not a town. It's not a town business, and I think the
Right.
the language of the ordinance related to town businesses, and so okay. Well, maybe Sean can update us next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, that's my knowledge of it is they've had a couple of town meetings on this, and it's kind of with the lawyers right now in terms of.
Well, you're a business owner. I mean, both of you can't put your signs just anywhere you want, right?
No, you can't put them anywhere you want, but if you're my friend and I say, hey, why don't you put your sign on my front lawn?
I don't think
Right.
that's allowed. If it's like a billboard, you can't just put a billboard on your
Well,
property.
I mean, it depends on the ordinance,
But
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I think
So-
the whole thing's about.
We have 2 stores in Orange, and they're getting increasingly tough about signage even on the post road,
Yeah.
right? Where you would think it's fair game.
Like every sidewalk curb has one of those.
Right,
Thank
but
you.
they came after me, like we had the zoning guy came in and said, no, you need to take your state signs down, and push back on him, and like, look up and down the post road, and he's like, we're cleaning it up, and I noticed when Starbucks reopened in our plaza, that they put their flags up and everything, and like a couple days later they were gone, so they pushed on Starbucks with that too.
Oh,
And so, but that's local ordinance,
right,
right?
right. Guess that's where it comes. Other business updates? Are there any other business updates?
Any new businesses in town that we should know about?
From a real estate perspective, we're pretty, like as a commercial real estate update, pockety, I think the market's on the busier side, it seems. We're busy. Woodbridge seems to have some new traction. We're getting a lot more phone calls lately. Because of, I think it's probably because of the development down there. We're getting calls for things that we may want in town, but we don't really have places for them to go.
Hmm.
So, like retail, there's no retail vacancies other than Grimaldi's,
Right.
and the Red Barn at the moment. But there's a lot of activity down there, so those spaces are going to be gone, are going to be filled up soon. There's no other vacant retail that I can think of other than, and I believe that there's a lot of action on Wheelers and the UPS store.
Really?
I know there's applications to the town for the Wheeler space. I read about some sort of, there's an application for catering and something else,
Now, someone came in the other day for a package store.
package store,
Mhm.
for the UPS store.
Didn't say where, because I don't really deal with that. You know, they
I
went
think it's the
downstairs
UPS
to
store.
the
Mhm.
zoning department.
I think it's the UPS store that was gonna be like a package store. And
Across the street from Amity. Right?
across the street from New England Brewing.
And from Nepco, right. Nepco is an interesting development, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, Nebco's now,
Pulled out of
they're
West Haven.
all together.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's a good for Woodbridge, not good for West Haven, and for Nepco, I think they have other plans in mind, so
Yeah.
they'll try to plan B, as they said. But it's pretty busy down there, it seems. Office space is office space. It seems to be, I think it's a little bit weaker everywhere, but
So for retail, how, the 1,500 square foot zone, right, for retail, that has to be a deterrent.
what do you mean by the 1,500
Well,
square foot
when we
zone?
looked at the zoning regs for the business district, right, if you were above 1,500 square feet, you had to go through an appeal.
Period? Just, you have,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, it's capped at 1,500, and if it was above that, then you had to go through the whole process with the town to get it approved.
Any retail use?
That was when Robert went and finally met with TPZ, and they gave him the whole, probably had it in folder.
Yeah.
The kind of the base, no appeal was 1,500 square feet.
What if the use already existed, the space was already used by that same use, and it was larger than, I'll have to look at that, I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I gotta go back and find it, but it came in and
Is it an appeal or just a change of use, or?
my understanding from reading it was an appeal, like the only, if you were 1,500 or below, right,
Yeah.
you were automatically.
Granted it, right? Okay, alright. I'll have to look at that, I had no idea. But either way, it seems like there's a lot of activity down there. So hopefully at some point in time, someone will find the wherewithal to build something with a little mixed use component to it, and we can have some apartments over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you can envision something like where Grimaldi, that whole center is where Grimaldi's is, and then where Montessori's behind it. If you put those two together, and then you had a big parcel behind it, and you had could combine the buildings, and you could put a second floor and nice apartments and sidewalks, and that's not that big of an idea.
No, it's not. The other, not to rain on the parade, but the other thing that's ramped up is the crime over in Stop and Shop. Since we last met, I don't know if you've been down there recently, but they have that whole remote camera situation in the parking lot. What's going on?
I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's tough.
it is. Other than that, I don't know anything else business wise. I haven't seen any other businesses going in at all. But anything new that you guys know?
I'm not familiar with anything new.
Is the little Italian restaurant open yet? The one that's across from Amity Meat? I haven't heard anything that they opened. You know where the Street and Savory truck was?
So when there are new businesses, Betsy used to try to get them on the mailing list that she kept, the email list. Do you know anything about that and how we could keep that up to date?
I do not know about the email list.
She had a couple different, one was like health and wellness, business owners, one was, do you remember what the different categories were?
I have it somewhere.
So she had a couple different
Yes.
email lists, or maybe they were full
Was it
content.
through Constant Contact? Is that
Probably,
the-
yeah.
I don't know where that role went when Betsy left, honestly. I'm not sure who's now taking on that
Communication piece?
communication piece.
Okay.
Well,
Someone's
for the
got
gift cards, I know Sean got some sort of download,
Okay.
so I guess another thing to ask him if he knows.
Okay.
I think he got that list from the assessors, from the assessor possibly, I'm not sure.
I don't know, because he was in direct contact with Betsy about it, so she might have gotten it before she
Maybe.
left.
Okay.
Was there a database that she left behind with all the?
You know what, now that I'm thinking about it, when she just left, I think Sean did email me. And I think I was able to get him a list from the person who was managing it temporarily.
Okay.
So now that you're refreshing my memory about that, but I don't know, I'm not quite sure. I think Karen Crosby, who's took part of Betsy's role, might be the right person.
Okay, so I think we need to
Check
have on the
that.
agenda is that we need some sort of procedures set up so that
We can communicate.
these new businesses can,
Yeah.
we have access to these business
Yeah.
emails and ability to update the database.
I believe the businesses can go onto the website and update and add their business.
Okay.
On the town
I could
website.
double check that.
Yeah.
I could double check that for you. But in terms of then how.
Because that would be good, because then we could just, if we meet somebody, we can say, oh, go to this section of the website and update.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Okay.
And then I could touch
Then
base.
find out what's being done with that information.
Yeah, I could touch base with Karen in terms of, how that information could be accessed.
Okay. That's it.
I think that's probably it. Nobody's here for public comment. And our next meeting is scheduled for next month on the 12th. Anything else? All right. Well, we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:36.